It's prime time. Tonight's the big one. Tonight's the big one, yes, sir. Tonight's the big one. It's the big one. Ooh, boy. Yo, they dropped so much damn news, too. They just dropped so much fucking news as well, bro. What the fuck? They showed the DLC character, too, bro. Oh my god. That's fucking crazy. They showed the first DLC character. Hold on, let me fix the chat box. Bro, what? That's a wild pick. If you don't know it, it's a wild ass pick. It's a wild ass pick. It's Cyclops, but it's not normal Cyclops. It's evil Cyclops. What the fuck? Damn, that makes me like wonder, like, are they gonna do like alternate versions of other characters in the future as well? Like, for example, is it gonna be like, instead of like, what are we gonna get, Elektra instead of Daredevil or something? I don't know. They could do some crazy shit. Anyways, let's look at this Tokon shit, and then we're gonna play. So today's stream, Avatar also dropped today. Yes, we're gonna play Tokon. We're gonna play Avatar. I want to play Rivals because the new map dropped and the new skins. And then Tokon at midnight. I said midnight. It's not midnight. At 3 a.m. So maybe we might play Rivals all night as well with some Avatar, and maybe we might do Backrooms. We'll see. But yeah, I started stream late because, I mean, I couldn't do anything. I mean, what I'm gonna do, just wait until, because I wanted to start late because of Tokon. That's basically why. And also I was editing a bunch of other stuff, and I was doing a bunch of shit for sponsors and stuff, which one of them just went up on the channel, the Razor one. But yeah, I was doing a bunch of shit. I was like filling out invoices and stuff. That's why I'm so late. But yeah, they dropped Black Panther's trailer, Sherry basically, for Tokon. They dropped Dangerous trailer. They dropped the opening movie, and they dropped Cyclops teaser for the year 1 DLC. Holy fuck. Also, Avatar showed shit as well. Because if you don't know, Avatar the fighting game just came out. Yeah, it just came out. I haven't played it yet, but they're dropping a free DLC character, something like that, later this year. This guy, whoever this guy is, I don't know who he is because I didn't watch the movie and I didn't watch Korra, but I guess this guy is only in the movie. So that's why the game is so rushed, because they're promoting the movie. Obviously it's not out yet for Xbox and Switch, and also there's no lobbies, and there's no what else is there? None. There's no ranked. What there's no ranked, son. Whatever, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but for now, let's start with something positive. Let's look at the Tokon shit. First things first, let's look at, what do you guys want to look at first? Which one do you guys want to look at first? We'll talk about the Avatar shit later. Which one do you guys want to look at first? Cyclops? Get the Cyclops over with? Get the DLC over with? What time is it for me right now? It's 9:54. So yeah, if you don't know, today's Comic-Con. That's why like a bunch of like news for anything comic related is dropping, like Avatar, Marvel, anything comic related. It's Comic-Con today.
Listen to me. You will do nothing but reduce everyone to ash.
They didn't stream? Dude, what I didn't get spoiled when I first saw this, because I opened Twitter and I instantly saw this. I didn't know who it was though. I just saw this. It said year 1 DLC in the trailer. I was like, the hell? Who are we showing? And then I see this bird come down. I'm like, oh no, it's Phoenix. No.
No.
But then I hear fucking Cyclops.
Can control it for long enough to do what I have to. I will save mutant kind.
What the fuck?
The new age of the Phoenix begins now.
What? Son. Oh, ads?
No,
Damn.
I can control it for long enough to do what I have.
Bro, hold on. Let me turn ads off. Well, lower ads as much as possible. Give me a second. I don't want ads during the stream. I'm about to play a shitload of Tokon. I'm putting ads once every hour, but you might get 9. There, I changed it. Okay. But look at this.
Have to. I will.
Literally, I saw this fire come down. I'm like, no, it's Phoenix, bro. She's gonna fucking wreak havoc in another game, bro. We already had to do it for Rivals.
No, I can control it for long enough to do what I have to.
I can control it for long enough to do what I have to?
I will save mutant kind. The new.
Bro, the paper burning at the edge? Oh, nah. You just know he's gonna be doing stupid damage. Stupid damage. Now, he's probably gonna be like one of the highest damaging characters in the game.
The Phoenix begins now.
The new age of the Phoenix begins now. Year 1 DLC playable characters. Witness the arrival of the Phoenix Cyclops. This is not normal Cyclops. It's Phoenix Cyclops, which is evil Cyclops. I didn't read the comics and stuff, but all I know is that he's evil and he has like obviously the Phoenix in him, which is what the same thing that Jean Grey has. But yeah, there's no Jean Grey here.
Listen to me.
Genocidal
you
maniac.
Do nothing but reduce everyone to ash.
Why is he here? And where does this tie in with the story of the game?
No, I can control it for long enough to do what I have to.
I can control it for long enough to do what I have to. For long enough? This shit's killing him.
Will save mutant kind. The new age of the Phoenix begins now.
Damn, bro, this is crazy. This opens up a can of worms. I wonder what characters they're gonna do next then. Or is everything gonna be like, there's no everything's gonna be Phoenix related. But I don't know. Sheesh. Interesting. Damn. Also, they dropped damn, that's number 4 for trending for gaming. What are people saying in the comments? Oh, that is a surprise and a half. Yeah, they could have just done normal Cyclops. No, it's not normal Cyclops. First DLC should be Cyclops. No, first DLC should be a villain. This is a villain, but it's also not a villain. Okay, they dropped the opening movie. Let's see this. Oh shit. Whoa, this is anime as fuck. Tokon Fighting Souls. Oh, this is anime as fuck. Oh, the timer's gone. Whoops. This is so anime. This is so anime. Wow. Wow, bro. The champion? Is he playable? He gotta be playable, no? Oh, that impact frame was hard. Damn, this shit is beautiful. Boss character. Quite. I wouldn't be mad if you beat the story, you get to play as her and him. That'd be cool. Yo, check this shit out. Whoa, frame by frame, bro. This motherfucker's going stupid. Damn, this shit is hard. Damn, thumbnail worthy. This shit is hard. They're really embracing the anime. See the Bleach Core opening song before? No. I mean, I've definitely heard it before. I think. All right, who do we do next? The anime was, I mean, that opening was anime as fuck, which is not a bad thing. It was pretty cool. BP, go in order. All right. Let me see if I'm actually gonna play Sherry this beta. Cherry.
You stand against the Black Panther, so you stand.
What? Oh, what the fuck?
You stand against the Black Panther, so you stand against Wakanda.
Where's the Sage-Am photo at?
Witness the blessing of the divine Panther. You should pay attention.
Oh, her theme fire. Go ahead. She hitting that shit. Her theme is fire though.
I'm getting the hang of this.
Shit though. Their normals are long.
Training
What the fuck is
provides the
that?
bedrock of your future.
That a unique hop? Why is it so well timed? He hitting that shit, bro.
Surrender. Or face
This
the
gauge?
wrath of the
This
Panther.
gauge thing she has goes down so slow. I think she might be top tier, low key. You can throw the spear. Okay. Thought of Bass's blessing. Cool. Yeah, Bass's blessing is the little. Was that take me? Hold on, no, I gotta go back. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Bass's blessing. Because this is definitely part of her core kit. One hour worth of
Training
ads.
provides the
You are not
bedrock
getting 1 hour
of your
worth of ads.
future.
Aerial version, each direction can be used. Okay. You can jump back, you can jump forward, jump down forward. Okay. Cool. So this is a reflect.
Surrender. Or face the
Wait,
wrath.
if you hit, guess the Sage-Am. No, this is the Sage-Am photo.
Surrender.
This is the Sage-Am photo. No, that's the Sage-Am one. I wonder, will it show up in my chat if I link it? Oh, fuck, it won't show. Fuck, whatever. It's not a GIF.
Or face the wrath of the Panther.
It didn't embed. I don't know why. Probably 'cause it's not a GIF. Oh, it's not a PNG. Wow, huh? Not a flip? Oh, it's like a DP. Use Bass's blessing afterwards? Okay.
Now we see. I stand
I'm blocked, you can use
and
Bass's
you
blessing.
fall.
Cool. The hell is this? Predator arts.
And you fall.
What? Oh, this is a Rekka. What the what? Light version follow-up attack triggers a break effect. Medium is a low, heavy is overhead. And you can use Bass's blessing after. Oh god. Oh, she getting Oki with that. Oh god. Yeah, she's definitely gonna be good. I guess a floor bounce. Ooh. Probably only on the X one though. Break effect. Yep. I see. How's the top left corner beam there? What are you talking about? Are you seeing things?
Vibranium daggers.
Are you seeing things? Vibranium daggers? She got the Kali knives out the sky? That's a good move right there. She dash cancel it. Oh, that's pretty crazy. Oh, you get Bass blessing from it. That's why. Oh no.
The power of the Panther. Here I go.
Oh, it didn't show right?
I'm here.
I use this scene, it'll show. Hold on. Wait, why ain't show? Oh, there you go. There we go. Assemble rush, warriors queen. Oh fuck. Oh, super. Cool. Foster Jet. Oh, thanks. Oh my god, that sounds so slow. Heart-shaped herb is active. Fast blessing consumes no additional gauge. Wow. Blowback is altered, recovery is shorter. You can use them in combo. Wow. That's really good. You can use it in mid combo as well. Long hitting it, you hitting that shit. I'm cook. Let me see the bombos. Oh my god, the Bass blessing dash. Good corner carry. Oh, we're not done? Oh no, she was charging. Okay. Side switch. Okay. Install bombos. I said, I got this. Damn, we're going around town. God damn. Not bad, not bad. I feel like we've seen cooler combos though. I feel like we definitely have seen cooler combos by actual players, but whatever. Well, actually, no. When we saw the dev footage. The Panther. Not a bad Tokon ensemble. I think we've seen cooler though. What time to open beta is? 5 hours.
To have been defeated by the Black Panther. Wakanda forever.
Cool. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I feel like we've seen cooler though. I feel like they didn't do a good job with her combo section. She's definitely more saucier than that. She has some crazy resets too. Like when we saw the dev footage, it was way cooler, but whatever. Let's see what they do for Danger. I have not heard Danger's theme, huh? What's up, Kay? Whoa. Wait, where's the Green Goblin trailer? He's in the beta. They gotta show us thing today, no?
Initiating swift victory.
No Green Goblin starter guide? They gatekeeping? Ease of use. 2-star difficulty.
17 engaged. Prepare yourself.
This is a character I definitely am not playing. Have any advice on streaming? Bro, just be yourself, be consistent. And play whatever you want, man. Don't overthink it.
Kinetic energy. This is not a drill. Focusing. Continuing offense.
Dash. Whoa. Oh god.
Calibrate. Escape routine active.
So they're doing Dangerous and Anime Girl. Wish they kept their dark look.
17 engaged.
I mean, they gotta sell copies, bro. She got Mantis blades. They gotta sell copies of the game, bro.
Autonomous unit go. Bot deployed.
Oh my god, Eno. She got the Eno dash. The combos look saucy. Do they? I mean, she's a zoner, so I mean, you gotta have some sauce. Some zoners just no sauce. That move looks annoying. So she can shoot the thingy, it'll store it. Yeah. Oh god, if you shoot it again, it'll shoot it instantly. Doesn't do that much damage, but it'll add up. Fires if the duration passes or if attack hits. Missiles? She has missiles? What the fuck? Whoa. Whoa. Damn, it holds her in the air for a little bit too. Damn, they track too. Made her into a cute Blasby robot girl. Oh, it seems the last rocket tracks. If he EX it. Yeah, that one tracks. What's up, corny? Let's go to 10. Yeah, I appreciate all the stream streaks, guys. I probably missed some, but it's kind of hard to read this and read chat. What the what? Does significant chip? Oh god, Alisa. Oh, it stunned you in there for a while. Damn, that's good chip. Oh, hell no. Whoa. That's gotta be +2 probably.
Kill switch.
Woo.
I have you. Target vulnerable.
What's that? The lunge that goes through people, medium version. Okay. Just do changes. Thank God I know who I'm playing. I'm playing Magic and Blade. Those two are easily the coolest to me. It would suck having a game this cool and I don't have a character. Did you decline your offer? Decline your offer? What offer did I get?
I'm ready to go. Danger.
Kill switch. Playing Magic as a main? Yeah, Magic was so sick.
Attack preparations complete.
Well, what is this? She can teleport? Oh, nah. I didn't know. Oh, it does damage. She can teleport to the thingies? Oh, no. Yikes. Magneto, sure, and hope no questions.
Supporting. Joining up.
I didn't know she had a teleport, and I didn't know she had missiles. I didn't know she had this drill move either. Because we have not been seeing that much gameplay of her. That Wolf didn't be changed on my. Yeah, Wolf looks sick.
Synchro beam. Exerting full
I'm gonna try everybody tonight. This is probably gonna be a long stream. I'm probably gonna stream from like 3 AM to like 8 or something. I don't know. This stream is gonna be long. She has Ramley Thor? Yeah. Ooh.
Training mode.
Metamorphosis.
I have escaped my cocoon.
What the
I am
fuck?
far more than a simple training device. Now, I'm gonna expand. Sufficient battle data gathered.
What was it like if it hits from afar? Oh, is that? Okay.
Melee mode.
So after she uses it, her drill receives a powered up state until the end of the round. Damn, the characters that have like, oh, whoops. The characters that have like powered up states until the end of the round, compared to some characters only having like, oh, 2 use of enhancement of Berserker state or 2 use enhancement of Blade's blood form or some shit. Like some people's are permanent for the rest of the match, and some people's are just like, oh, you only get like 1 or 2 extra uses.
Target vulnerable. Sufficient battle data gathered.
I feel like the permanent ones are crazy. Oh, bombos?
Target vulnerable. Sufficient battle data gathered. Prepare for in danger.
Okay.
Maximum velocity. Drive active.
Oh, the drill? Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Bot deployed.
Are we setting up? Zone. Fly all the way up there. Wall splat. Wolverine assist. Oh, bounce them back into it. Oh, denied. That spider out of here. Oh, the side switch. Cool. Not bad, not bad.
Assemble.
It's gonna be toxic. Oh yeah, she will.
Target vulnerable. Prepare yourself. Target vulnerable. Prepare in danger.
Out of the way.
What is her
Target vulnerable.
Here I go.
the symbol look like? I haven't seen this.
Constructing holograms.
Oh, we have the drill.
Updating your combat profile with new data. Recategorizing your profile to a lower difficulty level.
Damn.
Sorry.
Lower difficulty level is crazy, bro. She said your ass is mid. Yeah.
The X-Men always defeat you.
That's crazy. Lower level is crazy, bro. This shit too hard for you, bro. She said this shit too hard for you, bro. Anything else? That's everything. Damn. Sheesh. Tonight's finally the night. Tonight's the night. And it's gonna happen again. Tonight's the night.